Over 100 years of training led me to this point, and that was how old I was, 102 years to be exact. Still young and ripe, and most importantly, ready for anything. Being invader-worthy, I had to be.
You're probably thinking you'll be handling your mission on your own.
Almighty Tallest Red said to the 30 of us standing down below, drawing towards us after being absent for a few moments. I could tell he had something in his hands which were hidden behind his back.
And you probably can.
Almighty Tallest Purple quickly added.
But you won't.
That appeared to be Red's cue to reveal what he had. Very small, barely bigger than his head. A little silver robot. Very simply designed. 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a head with a flat top and another part I assumed to be an antenna, the part Red was gripping to display the robot. I squinted at the thing in interest.
Anyone want to guess what these used to be before we were even born?
Red challenged. The black parts of the robot suddenly buzzed to red, but none of them as brightly as its eyes. I blinked my own eyes all the way back open. I very curiously waited to find out more about this thing.
Robots?
Someone feebly replied. Of course, the tallest were unimpressed.
What they used to be.
Red repeated with emphasis.
Surely you've heard the generation before us mention something about the Syr units at least once.
Purple said. My lips parted. I had heard of these machines, the casual mentioning of them just at the edge of my hearing every time. But I never heard enough. I did not care to, actually. But seeing a Syr unit with my own eyes was the key to my full attention. The only sentient Irken machines I knew of personally were our control brains, and our Irken ships whenever the feature is activated manually. As a former Irken mechanic, I specialized in repairing ships mostly, sometimes even upgrading them. But the Syr units were new to me. I suddenly wanted to study them.
They used to be built for just company.
Purple continued.
That's it. They were just pets. No, seriously. Pet was even in their old name. Computer pet... I don't know, something stupid. And Miyuki, before she got eaten by a random blob monster, renamed them Standard Issue Information Retrieval Units, and put them to much better use. Ever since then, they have been for military use only. And don't worry, they aren't lovable and cuddly. However, they are still meant to assist you. Each of you will get one. Except not this one.
Red said, pointing to the Syr unit he was still gripping by the antenna. I raised a brow.
Oh yeah.
Purple muttered bluntly.
This is what the Syr unit was last month. Version 2.3. The one we have here was the very last of that kind. Built for nothing now, unfortunately. Because this is what the Syr unit is now.
Red said, raising his voice as he gave a signal to someone we couldn't see yet. Many airborne silver and red blurs startled us newbies when they zipped over our heads and had their cloudy trails leave a few of us, including me, in coughing fits. More Syr units flew in neat circles above our tallest for a brief moment before speedily landing one by one in a line. They stood tall and saluted in unison. They were a different model, brand new it seemed. Red held his hands out toward both ends of the line.
Enter version 3 of the Syr unit. Higher intelligence, higher alertness, better sense of direction, more agility, etc. And no mouth, as you can see, because that's always been kind of pointless and difficult to include. So anyway, there you have it.
He carelessly dropped the older Syr unit to the floor. The Syr unit that was declared useless despite having been built so recently. Its eyes had been blank and round this entire time up until this point. It cranked its head up, revealing its eyes to be semicircles, squeezed down to make it appear as if it was genuinely feeling indignant. We were told to line up moments later. As I waited my turn to take a Syr unit to keep, I couldn't take my eyes off the one still lying there, its chin to the floor. It looked so hopeless. It had only been shown for comparison purposes and nothing more. I realized I was pitying the poor thing. I was still looking at it when I approached my tallest, the same way the Irkens in front of me did one by one. I quickly forced myself to speak, I didn't want to be given a sir just yet. I wanted my questions to be answered first. Wait, excuse me. What are you going to do with that one? I leaned sideways to point at the rejected sir on the floor. Both leaders looked at it with me. Purple answered too dismissively.
What? I don't know. Throw it away? No!
I startled myself more than I startled my leaders. I clamped my hands to my mouth as quickly as I had worriedly cried out, then gave a quick, apologetic bow. I promise you no disrespect, my tallest. I understand why throw it away, but wouldn't it be a little bit of a shame?
No,
Red said, his expression judging.
Our soldiers need to have what's best to be the best themselves. Otherwise it is a shame.
I understand, sirs, I said again, tentatively. But I personally don't want to see that perfectly good sir thrown away only for being outshined by a better version. Can't it at least work with someone of a lower rank, like a service drone?
Sir units are for military use only,
Tallest Purple repeated.
They're only programmed to help soldiers like you.
Like me, that's right. I stood up straight with my thumb to my chest. Purple cranked his head sideways and squinted with one eye.
Are you saying you'd choose that, sir, over a better one?
The said sir was on its feet now, and returning my stare, its eyes round again. Was that awe and gratitude I saw in them? Or did I imagine it?
This is beneath you, sis,
Red commented, in a tone half confused, half disgusted.
Why put up such a fight for something we have deemed insignificant?
Because how can it be that insignificant if we built it? I countered. Tallest Red and Purple exchanged a glance, annoyed and uncertain.
If upgrades are what you're worried about, I'll do them myself,
I offered.
I'm good with machines. Fine, whatever, take him,
Red said, bobbing his head back impatiently. I bowed again, this time with a voluntary nod of my antennae to formally show respect. Thank you, sirs. I then approached the little sir unit. My first words to him were simple. Hello there. The sir looked up at me blankly. Are you ready to fly with me? I asked him. Then came his first words to me, as well as his first salute.
Yes, sir.
This sir unit was only meant to be a fellow comrade, but even with that constant blank expression and how quiet he was, I felt very comfortable having him with me already. I couldn't fathom why. Maybe this was what having my own servant was supposed to feel like. Sitting in the cockpit of my ship, we drifted through the dark void that would officially be complete Irken property someday. Our universe. My little sir looked around very calmly and curiously, in a manner that reminded me of how I was as a newborn Smeet, still new to life. I cut the silence with a sigh. Well, I'm thankful that the tallest let me keep you. Not that I'm questioning the tallest, but throwing you away would have been a pitiful waste. We shouldn't throw things out just because we favor the newer things more. So, away we go on our first mission, our first planet. Do you feel ready, sir? Still calm, the robot replied.
Yes, sir.
I pursed my lips. We can't just call each other, sir. That's going to be distracting. Would you like your own name, little sir? Let's see. This was a great way to pass the time. I spent the next several minutes thinking very hard and trying to spot anything outside the ship that would give me ideas for an honorable name. Star. That's a good one, maybe. I do like stars. I'm definitely keeping Star in mind. Oh look! A comet. Comet? Meteor. Asteroid. Yes, an asteroid. Juno. Eros. Oh, perfect! Little sir, your name is Eros. Do you have any objections to that?
No, sir.
Very good. 20 minutes of peace and silence drove me to think about my decision and how I felt. I began to doubt myself, and I hesitated to ask my little Eros for reassurance. I eventually gathered the courage. Eros, do you consider me a threat? Instead of answering immediately, Eros stared at me. I had the feeling that it was always going to be difficult to read his emotions.
Sir?
I anxiously ran my left hand over my left antenna. I showed weakness for you and spoke against the tallest. I'm sure you're thankful that I saved you, and I don't regret it or anything. But did you somewhat agree that I shouldn't have done this? Another gap of silence. I tried to predict Eros's response, but I hadn't known him long enough to really take a guess.
Your judgment is questionable, but not poor,
He said.
I am grateful. Thank you, sir. Furthermore, if I was meant to eliminate you if you were a threat, I cannot feel it in my code. Serving my master is my only concern, as it should be for every Syr unit. I will follow you, sir.
I smiled, and I nearly chuckled, remembering Tallest Purple trying to assure that the Syr units were not lovable.